Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing podcast, where we have 2 days of Cheltenham action, plus the not so small match of Morgiana Hurdle at Punchestown to preview for you. We're going to be starting off with Sunday's racing and then going into Saturdays, so a bit backwards if you like, all in one podcast, but some quality racing coming your way. You can see the team alongside. I'm joined by the 3 Ds, Deasy, Declan and Donn. And then I don't really join the lineup. There's not even a D in my name. It's a real shame. How are we, gang? All well?
Oh, good, Tom. Yeah, all good. Looking forward to it. Pity we lost to Friday's card at Cheltenham, but hopefully Saturday and Sunday will go ahead okay. And as you said, the Morgiana Hurdle at Punchestown as well. It's another cracking weekend ahead.
The good thing was, guys, that we didn't record a podcast for Friday's action, because
that would have been a waste of time, wouldn't it?
A waste of time, wouldn't it? But thankfully we didn't, did we? That was well swerved, Dees.
Yeah. It's coming out in the special edition Blooper DVD at Christmas, so you can see it then.
It was a good. We had swear words and everything in there because we knew it was going to be canned. Right, there we go. Let's start with Sunday's action then. We'll get stuck straight into the feature, which is the Greatwood Hurdle, a typically strong renewal of the Greatwood as you would expect. We now know we've known for a bit what's likely to line up here. Benny's Bridge heads to betting, round about 8.0, Monsieur Lecoq 9.0, and then you get stuck into those at double figures. Rixie, I haven't spoken to you for a bit, so I'm going to lead you, or you could get you to lead off straight away with this. Who do you like in the Greatwood and why?
It's kind of, I suppose the first thing we should probably say with starting off is it looks like the ground is going to be absolutely desperate at Cheltenham this week. This weekend, hopefully Saturday and Sunday does go ahead. The weather update seems pretty positive, but you never know. But look, I think it's going to be hard to be, personally, in my own opinion, it's going to be hard to be very concrete on a number of horses given the ground. But in the Greatwood, actually, there is one horse that seems to thrive on that kind of ground, and it is Monsieur Lecoq, who it comes into the form in good order for after winning the Welsh Champion Hurdle. And I went back and I watched that replay a couple of times, and this horse just thrives on this bad ground. He really does. It all looks so effortless for him. He travels well. He picks up. So, he kind of fits the profile for a race as well. He's a young hurdler. I think he's still a 5-year-old, so he's going to be progressing. He's had a run. Fitness is going to play a part on this ground as well. Horses who haven't had a run yet this season may just struggle in the latter part of some of the races this weekend. So for me, he ticks all the boxes, and I think you said he was 9.0 there. That I think that offers a fair bit of value now, to be fair, just because he's going to handle the ground. He's coming here in good form, and the Williams team are in good order. And then obviously I think he's got Lizzie Kelly on his back, who's going to be taking another 3 pounds off his back. So. I'd be pretty sweet on Monsieur Lecoq given the conditions the horses are going to face.
Yeah, it's our best price that with Matchbook at the moment. There's not a lot there left to be taken, though, I've got to say. So I'd imagine he could go off a fair bit short than that. He might well head the betting when it comes down to it. And I know that Dees, you're pretty clean on that horse as well. Is he your on top selection for the race?
Yeah, it was between him and Cheltenham for me, but I'm going to go for Monsieur Lecoq because just a bit less weight and probably. He's a year older, a bit more battle hardened. He's ran a few more handicap hurdles than Cheltenham, so I'm happy enough to go with him. Yeah.
Donn?
Yeah, look, absolutely. You can see Monsieur Lecoq, the case for him. He loved the ground. Benny's Bridge, I thought Benny's Bridge might have been a wee bit flattered by his win the last day. Like, he looked very, very impressive. And Conor Brace, I thought, gave him a super ride, just bided his time in behind and picked his way through. But the race was run at a fast pace, and he just might have been a wee bit flattered for that. That was his 7th or 8th run over hurdles, and he got £10 for it. So look, you can see it wouldn't be surprising at all if he were to go and win it again, or win again at the track. The soft ground, he should be okay on it, while it's probably going to be softer than it was at the October meeting, definitely on that day. So I think he's probably priced up around about right, or maybe a little bit shorter than he should be. Look, I do like Cheltenham. I think his run the last day was very, very good. It beat a very good horse of Peter Faggs and Soviet Pimpernel with Torpedo back in third. That was a good run. It was a good race. He was giving them weight. He's got £7 for that, so that's not ideal. He's got top weight or joint top weight, also not ideal. But he's only 4, and he's got the age to suggest that he's got more potential to improve, but he also had plenty of experience last year as a 4-year-old. Like he ran plenty. He ran in good races. He won a Grade 1, and even off top weight, like Paul Nicholls, he's had winners of 4-year-old winners off high weights in the past, including Old Guard when Harry Cobden was claiming £7. Not so long ago. So yeah, look, I think I think it's a hard race, but high weights can do well in the race. So it's not a case of, it's not one of those handicaps where you start at the bottom and work your way up. So I think even off top weight, Cheltenham might have a little bit. There might be a little bit in it.
Yeah, I'm going to pick up off that if I can with Cheltenham, who's my selection for the race. And Nicky Henderson made a point at Wincanton recently when he was talking about his horse who could have gone for this race, but of course went to the race at Wincanton in the bid to go on and win the Champion Hurdle. He said about 4-year-olds carrying top weight in this race, he'd worry. But actually, Detroit City carried top weight a few years ago and absolutely bolted up. 4-year-olds got a decent record in the race. I think it's 4 in the last 12 years, been won by 4-year-olds, 3 in the last 10. And top weights have got a decent record in the race. I nicked this off Matt Toombs, who's a Cheltenham expert. I should probably tell him I've done this as well. I will do before this goes out because I feel naughty. But horses that have carried 11.9 plus are 6 from 29 in the last 16 years. And 4-year-olds that have said 1, 3 in the last 10. I don't think top weight's a bad thing. And I wonder if that's going to be factored into his price for Cheltenham. People thinking, well, he's a 4-year-old, he's lumping a lot of weight on heavy ground. I'd sort of say it's not such a bad thing. We know how good he is. We know he always tries. And add to that the fact that Harry Cobden gave him a smart ride when he was last at the track and he went round the outside of the field. They're going to do the same again here. It's the route that Ruby always used to go at the track. And for all everyone knows that's where you want to go, I still want to side with the horse. I know where this horse is going to be ridden. It's a known thing at Cheltenham when the ground is bad, you want to be wide, but yet they don't all do it. But this horse will, and I think that's a huge plus. Yeah,
we had a wee chat about this in the version that didn't go out yesterday, and yeah, like it's absolutely true. Like if you like it depends how soft the ground is, and especially when they're going wide, especially on the hurdles track. I'm like you, Tom. I definitely want to see a horse going wide in the hurdles track when the ground is testing. And we know it's going to be, of course it's going to be softer. Today was called off. And even at like Detroit City was a classy horse, maybe a potentially champion hurdle horse. But Brampur, he won it off a high weight as well as a 4-year-old. So you don't have to be a champion hurdle horse as a 4-year-old or potential champion hurdle horse to win this race off top weight at that age. And just following on from your point, a 4-year-old like Fussy Raffles carrying top weight, that wouldn't be good. You wouldn't have thought. But I think Cheltenham, because he's battle hardened, isn't he? For a 4-year-old, he's way more battle hardened than your average 4-year-old at this stage of his career. So yeah, I think there are plenty of positives.
Anything else to add to the Greatwood gang? Anything else you want to say that we haven't covered?
No, just that it looks like with Mohamed, Cheltenham and Gumball, looks like they won't be hanging around here. So it's going to be a decent gallop. And just what I'd say, you guys talking about the top weights here, people get caught up in top weights in racing far too much for me. Weight is one thing, fair enough, but it's your rating that is everything. It's the ability of the horse. If you have a horse who you think is 7 or 8 pounds well in and he's carrying top weight, as long as he's physically big enough to carry it, it's not an issue. I think it's very kind of over-talked topic, really, but your rating is everything. If you think you've got a well-handicapped horse, top weight should be no problem.
Echo that, and like Cheltenham as a result. Right, let's move on to the Arkle trial. I didn't think they were both going to turn up. I thought between Getaway Trump and Al Dancer, they said they might wait with Al Dancer. I thought that they might not take each other on. They're back. I know that Deasy and we were keen on Al Dancer last time. This would be a sit and watch for me. I'm just not so sure it'll be quite so easy. What do you think, Deasy, this time around?
Yeah, no better race for me. I know that when they ran the last time that we were fairly sure that Getaway Trump was only about 70% fit, and I think that showed from when I think it was from 2 out, like he failed completely, and so he should strip fitter tomorrow. So will Al Dancer. I think Al Dancer will have that. He said the same race, and good race, but nothing I'd be putting money on. They're both going to be very sharp races. So,
anybody of the opinion that it's not a 2-horse race?
Yeah.
Fire away, sir. Fire away.
It's a 4-horse, and I think it is a 4-horse race. I really do. It's a hell for all that there are only 4 horses in it. You can make cases for all 4. Like Rouge Vif stayed on really well to win the last day at Market Race. And I know that the favourite, the Nigel Twiston-Davies horse, fell at the second last or third last, Earl of the Cotswolds, but he was very strong going to the finish, and he finished third in the Grade 1 race at Aintree last year behind Felix Deasy. He's a horse who just might be a wee bit under the radar, and put the kettle on Henry de Bromhead's mare. She's won her first 3 chases, and then last time she ran a hell of a race at Tipperary. Like Brahma Bull, who finished well beaten that day, he's since come out and enhanced the form. He didn't run his race at all that day, jumped to his right and made mistakes. So, you can't use that as a form line. But Robin De Carlo, she was only just beaten by Robin De Carlo, and she had Moon Over Germany behind her in third. It was a very, very good run, and she's a mare who could be a wee bit under the radar. Like, she's getting lots of weight. She gets the mare's allowance from Getaway Trump. She gets an extra £3 from Al Dancer. So I wouldn't be writing her off either. I think it's a very, very interesting race.
The one thing I'd say on predicted prices, but before the decks came through, if you were looking around at likely best prices, you'd have seen that at one stage on the Matchbook exchange that Getaway Trump was shorter. If Al Dancer isn't favourite, and I think he will be, then that might interest me. I don't think there's going to be a huge amount between them, but does anybody suggest that Getaway Trump should head Al Dancer in the betting, or are we of the opinion? My opinion is that Al Dancer, for all he's worse off at the weight, he should still head the betting. Rixie?
Yeah, he probably should head the betting. To be fair, like he beat Al Dancer, I think, was it just under 6 lengths, just over 5 lengths, maybe at the last day at Cheltenham. But he, as you've already kind of suggested, I think he's going to be £3 worse off, and just the way Getaway Trump shaped it, to my eye, in parts, maybe just for 7 or 8 strides, he shaped like the best horse in the race, and then it looked like he completely blew up. Like he looks like quite a strong horse, deep girth, and just the type to improve with racing and get fitter. So I think it's correct that Al Dancer should probably head him at the betting at the moment. But I think if people were looking for a bet in the race, I'd probably just side with Getaway Trump. Just because he's surely. I'm hoping. I was actually disappointed with how he finished out the race now, and he was so kind of disappointing. It'd be a little bit of a worry, but I think you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt that he just needed the run. And look, he's a horse who's ran over further in his Novice Hurdle day, so he's got conditioning and that stamina, which will hopefully kick in as well. So. I think with the way the ground is coming, I'd be siding with Getaway Trump as a bet in the race. Al Dancer I thought was good. His jumping didn't totally convince me, but you can't be too harsh on these horses. It was only his first ever start, but yeah, I think in terms of a selection in the race, at the prices, especially if Al Dancer is favoured, I'd be putting up Getaway Trump.
There was that point, wasn't there, last time where Getaway Trump came to 2 out absolutely swinging, and I thought.
Yeah,
I think he jumped better. He jumped better than Al Dancer during the race, but he just, like Rick said, he just completely emptied.
Yeah, kind of. And what we saw the last day, Rouge Vif kind of was probably the best jumper of the 3 that we've mentioned there. That the Henry de Bromhead mare, obviously, he's got a bit more experience than Deasy. He was pretty good now at market racing, but to me now he looks like a horse. He looks like a really good ground moving horse, Rouge Vif. I'm actually surprised they've declared him, but. It's going to be a second run. Maybe they're already maybe eyeing up a handicap later in the season with him and just going to get more experience into him. But we'll see. The ground for him would be a worry given how he moves.
He's got plenty to find as well, and he's got a bit of stone to find with the top ones with Getaway Trump. Just I suppose on Getaway Trump and Al Dancer, a lot depends on by how much Getaway Trump is going to come on. I mean, Paul Nicholls kind of intimated beforehand that he would come on for it. He said afterwards he'll definitely come on for it, and he needs to. So obviously it's down to that. Another interesting thing, it doesn't look like Al Dancer is wearing his hood. And he wore his hood at Ascot when he won the Bet for Hurdle. He wore it when he won at Cheltenham at the December meeting. He wore it last time over fences. He didn't wear it in the Supreme Novices Hurdle. And now maybe we've early fields that don't have headgear declared, but it doesn't look like it's declared. So Don,
I nearly fell off the chair. You're right. I hadn't even looked for it because I just assumed that they would absolutely have it on. But you're right, it's not on.
I wonder why they're not putting it on him. He looks like a better horse.
He did look more settled the last day, didn't he?
Yeah, maybe
he looked more settled compared to what we saw last year.
Yeah, but with the hood on, I think that's thrown me a little bit because he was so. you remember going into Cheltenham, there was a lot of talk about horses don't win the Supreme with headgear, and I wonder if the team looked at that or bought into that. I don't know. They didn't have him in it, but he was much better with the hood on last time. That's going to be a massive concern for me now.
You'd wonder. I mean, maybe they want to run him without a hood and say he doesn't need it. But if it works and has worked, and you know how good he is in his hood, surely you put the hood back on. I would have thought.
Interesting.
Let's go back to the start again, no lads. After that,
it's ridiculous, though, isn't it? We're recording this pretty sharply after Dex, and it's just not something I'd even taken into. I didn't for a second think they'd swerve it. So there you go. Interesting. Right, let's kick on to the Shloer. This is another small field, but it's a good-looking field as well. Is it? They don't go with last year's winner. I wondered if he'd show up and make it a really interesting sort of three-way towards the top of the betting with Soraya. That doesn't happen. You've got Defi de Seul, you've got Politolog, you've got Simply Ned, and you've got St Calvados. So this is where the horse goes. They want to go back into graded company. Go on, DC, kick us off with this. Who do you fancy and why?
I think Politolog, again, this I wouldn't be too pushed on have the bet in this race. I think Politolog probably will win because I think he is the best horse in the race over 2 miles and on heavy ground. I think Defi de Seul might need a bit farther. I think if it was 2.5 miles, I'd be siding with him, even though he's getting £3. But I think Politolog is a very good horse in his day. I thought his run in the Arkle last year the Champion Chase last year was brilliant, and this is going to be similar enough conditions, I think. So I'd fancy him. And probably at the prices, though, if I had to have a bet, I'd bet in St Calvados because he's going to be about 6 point, though, maybe a bit of a bigger price. He'll definitely handle the ground. I look very good. I backed him the last day, and just if I had to have a bet in the race, just at a bigger price, I'd go with him.
Does anybody think that this will suit Defi, the fact that the ground is testing enough? Because it's easy to argue, I think this is short of his best trip, but does anybody think this test already suit him?
I think it'll suit him all right, Tom, but it is interesting that over 2 miles, because they did have the option to switch him to the Arkle last year when Le Richebourg came out, and they didn't. And the Arkle, as we know, it was a good race in the end. Duke de Genève was a good winner and a good time, but we lost so many horses along the way from the Arkle. Celeste Emery came out, Dynamite Dollars came out, Le Richebourg came out, something else came out as well. And then we had the fallers in the middle of the race as well. But Defi de Seul, you would have thought maybe if they thought of him as a 2-miler, they could have gone for the Arkle last year. And they did drop him back down and trip to 2 miles for the Punchestown race, the Ryanair Chase Punchestown. And he was beaten by shotgun for a swat. Time will probably show that there was no disgrace in getting to within 4 lengths of him. But I wonder about him on his seasonal debut over 2 miles. And Politolog likewise. Look, I know he goes well fresh and he does a form over 2 miles. Like his run in the Champion Chase last year was very, very good, obviously. I just think he's probably a better horse over a wee bit further. And I'm with Micheál on this. St Calvados, he comes into the race, with that win the last day, I expected it. I didn't back him, unlike Micheál. I expected that he would be up in front, and there was lots of pace in the race. So in fairness to Gavin Sheehan and Harry Whittenden, they dropped him in, and he showed that he could be dropped in. So, okay, you have to write off last season a wee bit with him, but he's a pure 2-miler for me. I know he was entered in the BetVictor Gold Cup, but he's a pure 2-miler, and he can get in. He can probably get an easy lead for himself on Sunday. And yeah, it depends on how they bet, but he's probably going to be third favourite in behind the top 2. And I just think at the trip, with race fitness on the side, he's got plenty in his favour.
For me, Politolog is a horse who does go really well fresh, and for all he's 0 from 5 at Cheltenham, that run where he wasn't far behind Altior is the standout bit of form coming into it. And he's a Tingle Creek winner. He's a proper horse over 2 miles, particularly when there's a bit of cut in the ground. For all that they've come into different seasons trying to make him into something else. Last season was all about trying to make him get 3 miles, and it didn't really work for him. I remember Paul Nicholls saying after the Tingle Creek, what's been the key, and then realising he's a 2-miler. So I think he should be favourite for this on that bit of form at the back end of last season. Add to that, Defi de Seul was really on his toes for his reappearance run in, I think, what was the Arkle trial at this meeting last year. So I'd worry about that slightly. So I'm very much Politolog team, and I'm not sure a goal favourite either. Rixie?
I think you boys have covered that well. Politolog, I think, should, on form, even though he's carrying a penalty, he probably should just about be favourite. Deafy, for me, is a out-and-out Ryanair horse. I know as a juvenile hurdler, I think he won a Chepstow. He won when he went on that mental run of winning. I think he was unbeaten in 7 races, something like that. He showed there he could handle very soft ground. But last year, it was really his change of gears that was really winning him races. So I'm not sure about the ground being as soft for him first time up. Politolog, he's a bit of a much maligned horse kind of down through the years. People have called him a few names. Been pretty harsh, I think. He's struggled with his wind at times, and I think that's why he's maybe finished softer than you would have expected to. But look, he's a horse who goes well fresh. He could have the run of the race here, especially if St. Calvados is held up again. Deafy's going to be held up as well. So, look, I like Politolog. Paul Nicholls' horse have been, some of them first time out, have just been shaping like they need the run, but I'd have him favoured just about myself on the back of that champion chase run. So I know he should have no problem with the ground either. I like Politolog. I think he's a decent animal. So, and he's got, while Cheltenham's maybe not his ideal track, he has got ground to suit. So look, he's one that ticks all the boxes for me.
Right, we're going to give everyone for Sunday a £10 refund bet at Matchbook. It's for new customers only. If your first bet loses, we'll refund your stake up to a maximum of £10. Bets must be placed within 7 days of the sign-up. Accumulator bets do not qualify for this promotion. You must be 18 plus. We all are. That's good. Go to offer.matchbook.com for a bit more information. Who's the £10 going on then? We're going to give it to Deasy, Rixie and to Donn. Rixie, first of all, £10 refund bet?
I suppose, look, Monsieur Lecoq makes plenty of sense for me, especially if you can get that 9.0 that you mentioned earlier. He ticks all the boxes in that race and he's going to thrive on that ground, so I'd stick him up.
Dees?
Go to Donn there first, huh?
I think I'm stealing Deasy's thunder, have I?
Can I just say I'm going to Deasy first for everything now? For that,
Whatever Micheál says, I want that.
I'm going to go for something else in the Greatwood. So I'm going to go for County-Easter. I was looking at her as well there for Nicky Henderson. I think that she's a nice mare. She ran well in the county there last year. I think these are the kind of horses that go into the county after this. So I'm going to go for County-Easter. I think you'll be getting about 16.0, maybe 20.0.
Donn?
Should we go for the Greatwood treble then? Head to head. I'll go for Cheltenham in the Greatwood.
I love it. That's where mine would go as well. Right, best bets for Sunday. The one that we would be backing at all costs. Who would it be between all the races we've gone through? It could be elsewhere. I'll start with you, Donn. Your best bet for Sunday.
Can you not have it? This is again, we've been here before.
You can, Donn. Yeah, you can.
Tenner bet. Is that not your best bet, no?
You can. Your best bet. You can be whoever you like.
Right,
best bet for Sunday.
Pick a Cheltenham then, not the prices.
Cheltenham for Donn. Rixie, who's your best bet?
At the prices, it's Monsieur Lecoq.
Lovely. Monsieur Lecoq for Rixie, and that in the Greatwood. Deasy, you going to bring up the Greatwood treble?
Mr. Lecoq, I'd have a nice win bet and a good chunky place bet on her. Yeah, definitely.
Bit of both.
Yeah, bit of each bet.
Good stuff. That is our look at Sunday. We're going to turn our attention to Saturday now, which I was going to say good news, it goes ahead, but we don't actually know. I did this yesterday when it was good news, it goes ahead, because the only way the pod was going out is if it did go ahead. But this is rolled into Sunday. So I'm pretty confident, based upon what they've said, that we're going to be all right. As I look out my window an hour away and it's raining. So there we go. But I think we should be all right. We'll kick off with the BetVictor Gold Cup, which is it's a race where we've had some prices win it in most recent years. Nick Williams and Lizzie Kelly are well represented in this, with a Cheltenham lover in the form of Syrah Du Lac. Can't really split them at the top with Slate House. Spirit of the Games is in there around about 8.0. Us and them 9.0. Then you get stuck into the double figures. Donn McClean, what do we think for the BetVictor? Is it a race tradition you got a decent record in?
It's patchy, Tom. Yeah, it's patchy enough now. In recent times, it hasn't been that good, I don't think. It's going back. I think it's hard. news flash. If the BetVictor Gold Cup is hard.
It is.
I think that look, all those at the top of the market are very interesting. Cyril is interesting, but he got £9 for winning at Cheltenham in March, and like I think the return of Lizzie Kelly is a positive for him. Obviously, taking £3 off, and she knows the horse really well. She gets on very well with him. Slade House was seriously impressive the last day, but he got £12 for that. Like I know he's got, his young horse got potential proven over the track, course and distance, on the ground. I just think it's hard going into a competitive handicap like this, having gone up a significant amount from your last run, and it's and also because they've won, they're towards the head of the market. I prefer Spirit of the Games to Sir de Lac. Like his run the last day at the festival was a very, very good run in that the Brown Advisory played. He wasn't beaten far by Sir de Lac. He got £3. Sir de Lac got 9, so £6 better off. And as well as that, he was back in the field that day, and the race, it looked like the results suggest that it was a race in which he wanted to be prominent. And Spirit of the Games, he made lovely ground in behind, and he kind of made a bit of a mistake at the last and then had to come out, and he stayed on to finish third, so he wasn't beaten far. He was disappointing next time at Aintree behind Kalashnikov, but I think he bled in that race, so you can allow him that. He's had a win operation. Tremedan Skelton, he goes well fresh. I think he particularly goes well fresh. So seasonal debut, it's definitely not a negative. It might even be a positive. And I know he's 150 now, which is a high enough mark, and you need to have a few pounds in hand to win this. So is he a kind of a mid to high 150 rated horse? He potentially is. He's only 7. So I think he's got plenty in his favour. Got form at the track as well. Can go on maybe not ground as soft as it's going to be, but is proven on easy ground. And hopefully he'll be okay on soft. He does have form over hurdles on softer ground, so he should be okay on it. And I think again plenty of positives, and at a slightly bigger price than those fashionable horses towards the head of the market. I think he's interesting.
He was the good thing in March. He was the good thing, but it didn't happen. He finished third, didn't he? Rixie, what do you think?
Look, again, much like the Greatwood, it looks like there's going to be plenty of pace on here, so there's going to be a pretty high premium on stamina and jumping ability. But Sir de Lac, Bellamy depicts on Highway 101, Springtown Lake, they all like to get on with it. Thankfully, that crazy horse knocking a noose, not thankfully that he doesn't turn up, but I'd say a lot of the jockeys who like to go forward are actually kind of happy he's out of the race, because it probably makes it a little bit easier for him, because he is a tearaway, to be put it lightly. Look, we were chatting about this in the WhatsApp group there yesterday. I was saying 2 bad things have happened today. Cheltenham's being called off tomorrow, and the price on Springtown Lake is crashing. So, I keep my own numbers for certain races, and if this horse can reproduce what he did last year at Sandown and Haydock, I think he's very well handicapped. He's shown time and time again that he thrives on soft and very soft and heavy ground. In the main, he's a good jumper. He likes to sit in the first 4 or 5. Again, he's just a horse that ticks all the boxes for me. I would have liked his run in the Sodexo Gold Cup at Ascot to be a little bit better, but I think that they rode him too cold that day, I think, to get him ready for this race, which is fine, and he was beaten by a good horse in Vindication as well. I've also never considered him to be a 3-miler, so he drops back to 2.5 milers on heavy ground here, and I think that's going to be his bag. So I have him down as a very well handicapped horse if he can produce what he did last year at Sandown and at Haydock. So, but we'll see. If he's got his conditions, he'll have no excuses. So we'll see. The other one I give a mention to, but the ground has to be a worry now, is actually Count Marybell, who, he's a horse that does a lot right. He travels well, and he jumps for fun. Just as I say, the ground is probably potentially going against him now. But kind of at the start of the week, when we didn't know how bad the terrain was going to be, I was kind of wondering, geez, this horse hasn't gone up here, and he's finished second, a good second, to a horse who looks, destined for bigger things this year and lost in translation. So, those are 2 that I'd mention, but I'd be at the prices. I'd be pretty sweet on Springtown Lake. It's just a shame that at the time that we recorded this, the 20s and 25s are gone, and I think he's 12s and 14s now.
Yeah, he's shortened up a bit. Also, thank you for getting Vindication in, just if you can at any point. The best horse in training. We love him.
I love that horse. Yeah, I've had a real soft spot for him since he won his Novice Hurdle at at Ascot, beating Champ of all horses that day. He's a little bit funny in terms of they took forever for them to go up to 3 miles for them, and I don't know why. Because you look at his pedigree, it's just chock full of stamina. There's national horses in there. So anyway, we're getting off topic. Yeah, Vindication, best horse in training. We'll move on.
We'll do a Vindication special every week.
Right-handed
week.
stuff,
Updates from Kim Bailey. Just love him. Yeah. BetVictor Gold Cup preview. Let's spend half an hour on him. Right. DC, who do you fancy? Do you agree with the lads? You're looking elsewhere?
Yeah, just while you were chatting about it, I was looking at Springtown Lake, and I just remember I backed him for big prices for Cheltenham, and I only got 4 places, and he finished 5th. I'm still bitter over that. The one I gone for is Us and Them, Joseph O'Brien's horse. This is a very tough race, and he's going to be carrying top weight now. He's 11.5, but I just thought that all last year he looked like he needed a bit further, and I looked at his run in the Arkle, and he made up. I think he was 6th. Turning up or coming up the hill, just turning the corner, and he made up huge ground to. He beat a lot of tired horses. But I like the way he finished out the race. It was on softish, heavy ground. He had a fine run the last time there against in Gorham behind Snow Falcon. He made a mess of the last, which meant he finished up about 6 or 7 lengths in second. But I think that he could be a fairly high class horse, and I think if you're going to be getting about 9.0, 10.0, I think he's a nice enough bet for this.
Anybody think that Splash of Ginger is a big price? 2 years ago, he won the race up a pound higher. Easy ground again.
I think it's that type of race, Tom. Like you can look down through it and start to make cases. Like definitely Us and Them, you definitely have to be on your list. Bellamy they picked on as well. Like I know he's a big shot he's a big leap of faith. He hasn't finished in a long time, but his form going back a couple of years is very, very good. The handicapper hasn't relented an awful lot. He's only dropped him a couple of pounds, but he does have the talent. He loves the ground. He was very well back for that run at Sandown last time when he pulled up. And Venetia Williams, her horse, as we know, middle of November, Venetia time.
She's come early this year. She's joined the party early. She's been flying.
Yeah, she's got going. But he's a guitar Pete as well. He could be a potentially well handicapped horse on his old form. That I think there are lots in there, and it's not one of those where Martin Pipe used to unleash a lady cricketer aside from Malta to go and win it doing handsprings. It's not one of those races anymore, really. There are 2 kind of strands to it. There's either the kind of older exposed horses who are well handicapped potentially on old form, and then there's the 2 or 3 at the top of the market who are progressive youngsters who have the potential to go on and keep on going beyond their handicap marks. So yeah, it's I think there are cases to be made for plenty in it.
I could make a case for Splash of Ginger. I think to back in the place market, definitely, for those reasons I've said. He's a bigger price than I thought he'd be. Just to mention, you mentioned Martin Pipe, David Pipe, and we talked about this yesterday on the pod that never was. But he started his year really well. He's already matched his season winners from 2 years ago. He'll definitely pass last year. He's had a disappointing 3 years, really, but his horses are in good nick, and of the 2 of them, I thought Mononok, who's a horse, I probably pronounced that wrong, but
what was that? As an Irishman, I'm interested in that pronunciation.
Yeah, it means Eamon knocked on the door in
Eamon of the Hills.
How would you say it, Rixie? I've heard Eamon and Connick, a Mononok, a few different things.
Eamon on Connick, but I'm sure the two boys below me could
you're spot on there,
better. Irish was never my strong point in school. Well, school was never my strong point in school.
I've never heard a Mononon. I was wondering what that horse was.
I've stopped understanding everything you're all saying. I literally had nothing.
I know we
said something completely.
That English fella, no, lads, come on.
I just literally didn't understand it. Eamon and Connick, is that right?
Yeah,
that's much better. Yeah.
Knick.
You got to get in the Knick.
But if I say Knick, it sounds like I'm taking the mick. If I go, hey, man, Knick, then DC won't be happy with me.
Welcome to the Irish language.
Pipe's leading charge. Pipe's first string. Tom Scudamore's man. He was 5th in the race last year. but he looks I think he could just be a better horse this year, and the ground will suit. So I thought he was a half decent shout at a price as well.
Tom, what price is Spirit of the Games with you guys? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No. Let me go back to it. Bear with me. I think he was about 4th in, wasn't he, when I mentioned them? Just let me load him up again there.
I do apologize. No, the reason I think he's a horse who could hate this ground. He's one now I'd be looking at Place Lane if the price was right. Because the last time I looked at it during the week, he was 2nd or 3rd favourite, but he's a horse I could see potentially hating this ground.
He is 3rd in 9.0.
Yeah, I'd be maybe looking at, if you could place him at that price in the first 3 home. I'd be looking at that. I could see he's a very good moving horse. When he gets on a flat track and good ground later in the year, I could see him doing damage. But I'm just not sure this race is gonna work for him.
Yeah, I was very positive about him when he ran there in March, but it didn't work out. So there we go. But yeah, he is about 3rd in at the moment. Right, let's turn our attention back to the opener, which is meant to be on the Friday. It's now there on the Saturday. It's the Hyde Novices Hurdle. He looks a good race, this, and there's one in here that I've liked all season. It's been won by some good horses in the past. I'll kick off with IK Brunel. He's my horse to follow this year, so that's where I'm looking for pretty obvious reasons. I think he's a proper horse. They kept him a novice last year. They didn't overface him. He looked really good when he won last time. The ground's going to suit. He's going to win the Albert Bartlett in March, so he's going to win this. I'm a huge fan of the horse, so I'll kick off with Ollie Murphy's IK Brunel. Who's up next?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Really keen to preview the Hyde.
Yeah, look, I think Time Hill's probably going to be favourite, and definitely deserves to be favourite. His run in the bumper the last March was just very, very good. He finished 3rd behind Envoalen, and he I think he raced on the wrong part of the track towards the inside, which wasn't ideal. And that race, it's working out well already, albeit over hurdles. Envoalen was very impressive in his hurdling debut. Abacadabras was impressive there at the weekend in winning the Grade 3 race, the Auction Hurdle at Navan. I think Blue Sari's out this weekend, who finished 2nd. So, the Cheltenham Bumper is always a strong race, or it usually is a strong race. And Time Hill finished 3rd and finished a good 3rd. He wasn't beaten that far by Envoalen. And then he's come out and won the Persian War this season, on his debut this season. So you can understand why he's favourite. Champagne Well and Lair du Vent, they meet again. Lair du Vent probably travelled a bit better than Champagne Well the last day at the October meeting and just didn't find as much, but he travelled like a good horse and on better terms now, slightly. I think he gets £3 from him now. Then I can see him reversing placings and then Dancing on My Own, which we mentioned as well in the pod that never was. He's a very interesting horse. He's just a horse who I think Micheál's keen on him. The horse has been bubbling under for a little while, and his run at Wexford is just very, very good. He has to go and do it at a higher level now, but he's got lots of potential.
Rixie?
Yeah, look, I'm a big Time Hill fan, to be honest. I thought what he did in the I think the Persian War there at Chepstow hurdling debut was good now. Just as a horse, I like him, as Don's already said, he good bumper form, 3rd in the champion bumper last year. But like the way, just go back, I went back and watched his novice hurdle debut at Chepstow, and he was off a strong gallop. He was fresh and well and keen, but to still have the ability to see off Fiddler on the Roof late and see him off pretty well, to be honest. Was a good sign for me. I know Fiddler on the Roof has been beaten since, but I wouldn't say he's let down the form per se. I'd say he's just run to a similar level. But look, Time Hill to me looks like a horse who's got a hell of a lot of natural ability. But looking at his bumper days, plenty of his runs were on good ground, and the ground, it has to be a big question mark. So while I like the horse, I'm not sure I could be backing him, especially with a penalty. So we'll see how it goes. I would give a very positive mention to Happy Go Lucky, who, Jesus, I was impressed with him now. And I think I'm becoming a little bit of a Kim Bailey fanboy because, he's obviously got Vindication. We'll give another plug to. And look, this lad now is kind of nearly near in Vindication territory for me already. What he did at Stratford to Mercy Me was impressive now. He's a lovely big horse, son of Jeremy. He's he looks to have loads of natural ability. They didn't hang around that day at Stratford, and he was keen. He just travelled like a good horse. He went through the race like a nice one, and then he really did pick up for David Bass when asked. That was his first ever track start, and I thought he ran to maybe around 130. So, we could have another little vindication on our hands here, lads. So we'll see. But again, he's another horse. He looks a horse to me who's a good mover. So I don't know what the ground is going to hold for him. But just as horses, I'm a big fan of Time Hill and Happy Go Lucky. But I couldn't have a bet in this race. But it's one I'm going to happily watch and see what the story is.
It's a shame that it can't be seen on the video or, of course, heard on the pod. But I have renamed Rixie as Mr. Vindication. So that is it now.
He's in the Vindication colours as well today.
Oh, he is? What a spot!
Yeah. These are my Vindication pyjamas. I sleep in these.
Dees, your go. The Hyde. What do you think?
Dancing on my own for me. I gave him a good shout yesterday, and the pod that never was, but I'll give him another shout again today. Looking back at his form last year, he ran in a few good races. He was always behind Classical Dream. He was looking his arse for most of the year, but I thought he ran very well. He shed his maiden tag very easily at Wexford. Again, he's from the same owners as City Island, and what I thought is interesting is that last year they let City Island, he went off in the race and won at 1-5, and they came out and interviewed the owner after and said we wanted to give him an easy race to win, just to give him that winning mindset and give him a bit of confidence. I think that's what they did with this horse as well at Wexford there recently. He won by 37 lengths or something like that. So I think he's going to be nice rough price, can maybe get 7.0 or 8.0. I think he looks a nice horse. I think he'd be a good bet for this.
Anything to add, anyone, for the Cheltenham opener on Saturday? Good, happy. Let's kick on to the novice chase, which sees Holstone back. He doesn't have Mulcahy's Hill to beat here. He would have had a big old pull at the weights with that horse, but he doesn't line up. Anyone not in Team Holstone's camp for this contest? Speak up now. Anyone got a serious betting? Yeah, anyone that's going to outlay money on it, do we think? Or for me, go on, Rixie.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a bet in this race. I'm a fan of Holstone, and he's the class horse in this race. I think there's no doubt about that. He's taken to fences fairly well, to be fair. He's a big, massive horse, and kind of when you looked at him, you wouldn't have necessarily thought he had maybe the kind of athletic ability sometimes. But he's shown a good aptitude to jump now, and he's been pretty nimble where he's had to be. He's made a couple of mistakes, but we'll see. Look, he's the total class horse in this race, so I'm assuming he's potentially going to be, maybe even money, maybe shorter. I'm not sure. But I've always just had a little thing in my mind about him over 3 miles. I'm not sure he's a dour stayer. So I think the bet here in this race is actually going to be David Pipe's poker play without him. Like I haven't seen any prices yet now, because we start to record this at 11 o'clock. So I haven't seen what the market has done. But I'm assuming the way I'd approach it is, instead of backing Holstone and maybe around even money or something like that, I'd rather take him out of the equation and back poker play at around 6-4 or something like that. I haven't had a look at the race properly to price it up myself or anything yet, but we'll see. Look, poker play, he's a young horse. I've had a bit of a soft spot for this horse for the last couple of years. I don't know why he hit my radar early on, but the pipe yard, as you've already been alluded to here, hasn't been going that well the last 2 years. But this year, they've made a good start. Everything looks a bit more rosier. And I really liked what this horse did at Foss last. He beat a good mare, Sensolano, who's a decent horse now. I think she's won plenty of races this year over fences. She's already gone on to win at Fontwell, I think, during the week. So to give her £7 and beat her 5 lengths while showing a good aptitude for jumping, and he's a horse, you look at his action, he'll have no problem on heavy ground. So yeah, look, he'll do for me poker play without Holstone. That kind of be, of the shorter price horses, he'd probably kind of be nap material for me this weekend.
Interesting. I absolutely echo the point. Over 3 miles on testing ground for Holstone. 2.5 testing, perfect. It's interesting that they're cheap pieces for him, but I do have that niggle with him. I fancied him when I thought Mulcahy's Hill was going to run, still to reverse that form. But as a horse that's likely to sit short right at the top of the betting, over 3 on heavy ground, he wouldn't be one for me to sort of nail my colours to the mast. Don, anything to add?
Yeah, no, like I agree with that a bit. Like I think he'd be okay over 3 miles over fences. Like generally, like he is a staying hurdler, and he probably just about gets 3 miles over hurdles. But over fences, they tend to get a wee bit further generally. But no, the soft ground is more of a worry for me than the distance. And it's more of a worry for me than the distance combined with the ground, if that makes sense. It is interesting to putting cheapies on for the first time. Maybe they thought he idled a wee bit the last time against Mulcahy's Hill, but I thought it was a good run the last day. He just got a bit mugged, didn't he? He won as we travelled like the most likely winner from a long way out. He looked like he was going to go and win it. In fairness, Mulcahy's Hill, he stayed on well up the hill. But yeah, look, I can see where Declan's coming from with poker play, but he's got plenty to find with Holstone, and I know Hurdle's ratings don't always translate to chases, but I thought he jumped well the last day, and okay, he won it was a 2-horse race at Perth, but the other horse didn't finish. That was a nothing event, but the last run was good for Holstone, and it kind of suggested to me that he can go on and make a chaser. For all that, a hurdler has had lots of experience over hurdles. You do want to go and see them jumping fences. I think, as opposed to a novice who goes straight over fences, it's nearly a better way to be going about things, I would have thought, than a horse who's had as much time over hurdles as Holstone has had. But he did jump well the last day, and yeah, I think it's a no bet race for me. But I think Holstone, he deserves to be, whatever price he is, a short price favourite.
Yeah, he had a headwind as well that day, I know, and he didn't start off leading, but he was moved up to lead. I just thought the strongest there beat him on the day. Dees, do you have anything to add to that? Or you can kick us off with the Morgiana. Your call.
Nothing to add to that, and I've no real interest in the Morgiana, actually.
Great, lovely. Thanks for coming on, Dees.
Promoting Irish racing wonderfully there, DC.
No, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to watching it now, but it's not a race I'd have a bet on at all. Yeah.
Fair enough. It's interesting because you've got a horse right at the top of the betting who's around about 1.5, Classical Dream, who's Antipode's favourite for the Champion Hurdle, who should take all the beating because his main 2 rivals are his stable companions. Don, I know that you've backed one of them for the Champion Hurdle in March, though, so go on.
Yeah, Saldi, I'm hoping he gets close to Classical Dream. Really, you can't. There was a kind of a press day down in Willie Mullins there on Wednesday, and it's unbelievable the talent that he has. It's only really when you're there and they're walking around and he's going, that's, he starts nailing them out. Horse Duvan came out and won yesterday. Just the kind of the vibe that you were getting was that Classical Dream is exactly where Willie Mullins wants him to be. So he's a short price favourite. He was so good in winning the Supreme last year. I just think Saldier might be a horse for the season. He hasn't run since he fell at the last in Aspar Delen's race, Poor Aspar Delen, last year, the Fistry Lane Hurdle. And
would he have beaten him, Don?
I think he would have beaten him. I think it's hard, it's impossible to know, but he definitely, at worst, he would have given him a hell of a race. Now, I know Aspar Delen improved from then to go win a Champion Hurdle, but, to win a Champion Hurdle the way he did, the second 5-year-old winner since See You Then, and with the authority that he won it, he was so sad for him and JP McManus and Gavin Cromwell. He was a hell of a horse, and he could have gone and won 2 or 3 more Champion Hurdles. But Saldier was giving him a real race, and he broke his nose in that fall. That's why he's been off since then, and he didn't just break it; he smashed it. So and they didn't do, or Willie Mullins took the decision not to do anything, not to try and fix it. So, but look, he wasn't happy with him even all last season, but he's very happy with him this year, he says. And it's obviously a good starting point for him after a break of more than a year. So I'd just hoping that Saldier can run a good race and get close to Classical Dream. Look, Classical Dream he sets the Champion Hurdle standard, but Saldier is obviously a bigger price than him, and for me he's maybe the value as we stand at the moment. It might all change on Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon. But yeah, I think it's great that Willie is running the 3 of them, because it wouldn't be there's huge interest in the race because the 3 of them are running Sharjah as well, and Petit Mouchoir's in there too, and Hafiz the 5th. But it's going to be a very interesting race, and hopefully Saldier can run well.
He's probably, Rixie, the most interesting horse in the race because of the points that Don states. For all you might not want to back him on the day, you'd want to see how he goes with regard to what he's going to do this season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the form obviously makes you sit up, doesn't it, with what Espartalin went on to do. I didn't actually know that he broke his nose. That's very interesting. And do you know what just popped into my head there when Donn mentioned that was, remember Briar Hill a couple of years ago?
Exactly. Yeah.
When he fell, did he break his sinus?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and interestingly, Willie was saying the other day that they tried to fix it and they couldn't, and it's because of that they said they just leave Saldier alone and hopefully it fixes itself. And hey presto, it's hit.
Very good. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see how he goes. As a man who suffers with my sinuses, they're not to be messed with, lads. So we'll see how we go. But
you don't often have sort of bits and harnesses over you.
No, exactly. No. No, it's been a while since I had a bit in my mouth, to be fair. Yeah. Now Chifney bit, just to keep me under control. But yeah, look, I'm a massive Classical Dream fan. I love this horse. I call me mad now or whatever. Like, well, I know that the winner of the Champion Hurdle was very good last year, and he won by a long way. But I thought it was a desperate Champion Hurdle. How it panned out. Hoover Dare went early. He brought down another horse. Lorena probably wasn't at her best. I thought it was a desperate race. I thought if Classical Dream ran in the Champion Hurdle last year, he would have been, not saying he would have won it, he would have gone very, very close and would have definitely been second without a shadow of a doubt. So I love him. He's a big high cruiser. He jumps for fun, this horse. I think he's the ideal Champion Hurdle horse. For all that, the only thing that would worry me going back to Cheltenham March is he'll have to do it on much quicker ground. But he's got a beautiful high cruising speed, jumps for fun, and he stays. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him back now.
Just on that, just a very quick question on him being. I know we're getting our Antipost heads on, but Supreme winners translating to Champion Hurdle horses. It doesn't happen often, does it? But he's just ideal for you, is he?
Yeah, he is. I was at a preview night the other night, and that stat was mentioned. I think of all in 100 years, I think of the Supreme Novice Hurdle, I think only one horse has ever won the Supreme, and then the Champion. So, but then again, that's a great stat in terms of numbers. And we don't know how many horses Supreme winners have gone over fences or whatever. So
I hope it was a Cheltenham November preview night, Declan, as opposed to the festival preview night.
It was actually it was a National Hunt preview evening, actually. Yeah. No, I'm a keen festival fan, but I'm not that keen on. Yeah. But although the way these Cheltenham preview nights pop up now, to see one in November probably wouldn't be a surprise. But that was mentioned, and the other thing that was actually mentioned by someone on the panel is Patrick Mullins is of the opinion that Sharjah is just as good as Classical Dream. Now, I don't want to put words in Patrick's mouth. Maybe Patrick didn't say that, but that was said at that preview evening the other night. So we shall see.
I wonder if he's a horse that is better on a sound surface and he might not get that Punchestown. Right, we got to kick on. So let's do our £10 refund bet. First of all, Deasy, as promised, coming to you first, putting you on the spot.
I'm okay this time, Tom. Dancing on my own the first race, because again, if he loses, you get your tenner back. You have it for the rest of the day.
Absolutely. Offer.matchbook.com for more on that. Don's £10 refund bet.
Or you'll have it for the next race anyway. Maybe not the rest of the day. Spirit of the Games. I got to stick with Spirit of the Games. I think the Hurdle's form on soft ground alleviates that a little bit, and I just think it could be a well-handicapped horse.
Good. The horse that Rixie is place laying. And Declan. Nice.
I wonder who's going to come out right there. Yeah, I probably should have kept my mouth shut.
Rixie, where's your £10 refund?
I'll go with Springtown Lake. Yeah, he's probably the best kind of value bet for me on the Saturday.
Horse whose price has taken a hit. Right, as far as the best bets go, let's have a look at those. Best bets for Saturday afternoon. Deasy, your best bet this Saturday afternoon, the horse you are not going to avoid backing, you're going to bet at all costs. Who is it?
I'm going to stick with Dance on my own. I think he's a great chance, and he'd be a nice price. He'd be 7.0 hopefully. So yeah, that'll do for me.
I'll launch mine in now. It seems the right time to do so, because you said that horse. I like IK Brunel a good deal. He's my horse to follow this year. So if he's running on the day, I'm going to have to stick him up. I think he's a lovely prospect. IK Brunel for Ollie Murphy. For me, Donn McClean.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Spirit of the Games. Best bet and best free refund, £10, whatever it is. Whatever we're allowed to say, bet.
He is the one for you, Spirit of the Games. And Mr. Vindication?
Mr. Vindication. I think poker play without Holdstone, I think, is the nap on the Saturday. But as I put up, I'm pretty sweet on Springtown Lake in the BetVictor at the price. I know the price has crashed and he's 12s or 14s now, but I think there's probably still a little bit of juice. And I think he's more maybe a 9 or 10 to 1 shot, given what the ground conditions are going to be like.
Great stuff. Always a pleasure, gang. Thank you very much. We've previewed the main races across those 2 days, mainly at Cheltenham, also the Morgiana at Punchestown. Thank you to Donn. Thank you to Declan. Thanks very much to Deasy. And thanks to those of you at home for watching and listening. And we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.